try and understand why we have an ecological crisis and how it is we can heal the ecological crisis. So that's what the college is about. We have a very extensive website you can look at. I'm sure Tech can write up the name Schumacher College for you. And we'd love to see you here one day if you could make it to come and study with us. Anyway, let's talk about eco-literacy for the next sort of 20 minutes or so. And then we can have some questions and discussion. Is that okay? Can you all hear me all right?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So what is eco-literacy then? Well, I think it's got three aspects. There's three aspects to eco-literacy. And of course, the word eco-literacy has got two components, eco and literacy. So eco comes from ecology, as you know, which is the study of the relationships in nature. And literacy is about understanding and deep knowledge. So I think there are three aspects to eco-literacy. One is we have to understand what state the planet is in right now, the condition of the Earth. We can't be eco-literate unless we understand the condition that the Earth is in. So that's the first thing we'll look at. Two, the second important aspect of eco-literacy, I think, is to understand why it is that Western culture in particular, the Western way of life, Western economy, has been so destructive of nature and of traditional cultures. So that's the second aspect of eco-literacy. And the third aspect of eco-literacy, I think, has got to do with solutions. Just what can we do about this terrible crisis that we've inflicted on the planet? So those are the three aspects of eco-literacy, 1, 2, 3, I'd like to talk about. Is that okay so far, everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, so we'll do the first, little bit about the first point in eco-literacy, the first aspect of eco-literacy, which is to understand the planetary crisis. Now, I know that you've already looked a lot at climate change, etc., the loss of biodiversity, so you're probably very familiar already with the incredible crisis that's going on. So I just want to point out one important study that was made in 2009, I think it was. Let me have a look. 2009, published in Nature by Rockstrom, and the lead author is Rockstrom. I can send you I'll send you my PowerPoint presentation so you can have all this information. Has anybody heard about this paper on planetary boundaries? Have you heard about this paper?
We have just see the clip.
Yes, you have.
Yeah.
Well, the idea here is that these are about 20 really eminent scientists came up with a very interesting concept. They said that we have, humanity has a safe operating space in nature. So we can put some carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, we can put some nitrogen into the biosphere, we can even cut down some forest, we can even wipe out a few species. So in fact they identified 9 important planetary boundaries within which humanity can operate. And those 9 boundaries are climate change, ocean acidification, depletion of the ozone layer, nitrogen in the biosphere, phosphorus in the biosphere, fresh water use, land use change, biodiversity loss, atmospheric aerosol loading, and chemical pollution. Now, I know that's a lot for you to take on board, so don't worry. But the idea is that we are able to operate within a safe space. The Earth, if you like, gives us a gift. The Earth gives us a gift so that we can create some climate change without disturbing the system. We can acidify the ocean to some extent without changing the system. We can put some nitrogen pollution and phosphorus pollution in without changing the system. We can even afford to lose some biodiversity without changing the system. But, they said, if we go beyond the boundaries, in other words, if we go beyond the safe operating space, then we could push the entire planet from a nice, comfortable condition, which it now is in, to a really dangerous condition, in which the planet will warm up and will become incredibly inhospitable to humans and to much of life. So that's the concept of planetary boundaries. And Rock-Stromer, these scientists, they have discovered that we have already pushed beyond the safe limit for 3 planetary boundaries. One of those is climate change, which I think you already know about. In other words, we've put in so many greenhouse gases into the atmosphere that the Earth is already starting to warm up. So we've pushed beyond one planetary boundary. The other planetary boundary they identified was phosphorus from our fertilizers going into the biosphere and changing the functioning of the biosphere. And the third planetary boundary they identified, which is the most dangerous in a way, is the loss of biodiversity. We're way beyond the safe space for loss of biodiversity. Now, let's have a little pause. Was that okay? Did you understand that? Or did that make any sense? Give me some feedback. I want to know how you're doing with what I've said so far. So let's have a little pause. Did I explain the concept of planetary boundaries okay? Do you understand it? Are you confused? Let's have a little discussion about that at this point. So let me know how you're doing. Because it's no good me just talking for 20 minutes and then,
Hello.
I want to make sure it's coming across. So don't feel shy, just let me know. You could say to me, what on earth were you talking about? Didn't understand a word. Start again. That's fine. Or you might say,
Sorry,
yeah, we know
sorry,
about
sir.
planetary. We've read the paper, we're wasting our time, let's get on with something else. Let me know how you're doing.
Can you hear us?
I can hear very well, yes, thank you.
Okay. Somebody is asking a question here.
Well, we have seen the clip of Prof Stephan talk about his project and his research, and we know that there are two index that he cannot qualify the detail. Do you
Yeah,
understand?
so I didn't. Tech, can you repeat the question? I didn't quite hear all of that. Hello, Tech, are you there?
Yeah, I am coming there,
I'm
Stephan.
not asking.
Yeah, if you could just, it sounds like your participant knows about this paper,
Yeah.
and he has a more detailed question about it, is that right?
Okay.
Yeah.
He wanted to communicate that he just watched that video a few minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just before your presentation. So maybe you can skip that part.
Okay, good. So you know about the planetary boundary. Did everybody see the video? Yeah, okay. I'm sorry about that. That was a total waste of time in that case. Okay. I would just like to make one point, which you probably, just to reinforce Rockstrong, which is, if you change one boundary, you change all the others, because they're all tightly interconnected with each other, right? Did that come across, that point? So, for example, imagine that we emitted no greenhouse gases to the atmosphere, but we destroyed the biodiversity of the planet. That would change the climate, right? Because they're all interconnected. Okay. So you've got the first step of ecoliteracy. Now the second step, which is, we go much deeper here, and we ask the question, why has Western culture pushed the Earth beyond these boundaries? What's driving Western culture to do this? Okay. Now, it was E.F. Schumacher, after whom our college is named, who said the following. He said, Western man is engaged in a war against nature. The trouble is, if he wins, he'll find himself on the losing side. Did you get that? If we win the war against nature, we're waging a war against nature. If we win, we'll find ourselves on the losing side. So the question is, why have Westerners waged a war against nature? I think this is a really important question to ask in relation to understanding the crisis, in relation to understanding ecoliteracy. What is it about Western culture that's made us so destructive of nature? When I say Western culture, I now mean anybody who has adopted the Western lifestyle, which is just about everybody on the planet. Now, we're all Westerners now. Okay, so that's the next thing I'd like to explore. This has got to do with philosophy, worldviews, and spirituality. This really is a kind of spiritual question. Okay? Because fundamentally, I think that the reason why we are so destructive of nature is because we have the wrong understanding of what nature is in the West. Yeah? We've developed an understanding of nature as a dead machine. We really think that nature is just nothing more than a lot of dead resources that we can extract and convert into money through our economic activities. Now, does anybody know who proposed this machine view of the world? A question for you. So we're a bit more interactive, rather than just me talking. Does anybody have an idea who it was in the West, which Western philosopher it was that proposed that we have that the Earth is a great dead machine, or that the universe is a dead machine? Anybody have an idea? Well, it happened during. I'm glad you don't know, because I can share something with you. Otherwise, I'd be telling you things you know already, and it'd be a total waste of time. So, the person who came up with this idea of the universe as a dead machine was René Descartes. René Descartes, the great French philosopher and a brilliant mathematical physicist. I have huge respect for him. But he's the one who said that the universe is nothing more than a dead machine. It has no soul, no intelligence. It's just purely a collection of dead atoms that interact with each other. There's no meaning in it. There's no purpose in it. It's just blind mechanism. And when his followers cut open live dogs to see how the inner workings of the dog held together, and the dogs screamed in pain, he said to his followers, ignore the screams, for they are merely the creakings of a machine. Yeah, can you imagine that? You've got a live dog in front of you and you're cutting it open. It's alive and it's screaming in pain. And Descartes is there saying, ignore the screams. This is just a machine, just like the creakings of cogwheels. That's all it is. Ignore the screams. Yeah? So you can see that if we begin to treat the earth as a great machine, then we can do what we like to it. We can cut down its forests, we can mine its minerals, we can divert its rivers, we can do what we like because it's dead, and it's only there for our use. The earth is there for our use. Now, Descartes did believe in God, and he did believe in the soul, but he thought only humans have the soul, and it's a rational soul, a kind of mathematical soul that can understand the workings of nature. Now, what was the worldview before Descartes? How did people see the world before Descartes? Can anyone take a guess? What do you think? In your own traditional cultures, how is nature understood? Is it understood as a machine, or is it understood as something else? What would you say?
As a god.
As God.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, as a god. Yeah. So even in the West, before Descartes, and I would say in all traditional cultures, nature was seen as sacred, as full of soul, full of intelligence, full of purpose, full of meaning. For example, in Hindu philosophy, forgive me because I don't know much about Hindu philosophy, so you know much more. But the idea is that consciousness is a primary attribute of the universe, and matter is a secondary attribute of the universe, which bubbles up from the primordial consciousness. In other words, everything is saturated with meaning, soul, and intelligence. Or to put it another way, the universe is much more like a mind or a soul than it is like a machine. Now, in the West, we have deliberately